All right, peace, y'all. Let's dive into it. I hope y'all are having a good day. It's pretty hot across the country. I'm in New York, and it was up to almost 107 today. So I hope you're staying hydrated. I hope you're up under some AC or up under a fan, whatever you could afford or you have in your home. Stay hydrated, people. It's a hot, hot day. Let's dive into a hot topic. Land banks. Land banks. Let's talk about land banks. First, let's start with what is a land bank and the importance of a land banks. Well, inside of our community, land banks is something else that we focus on. Land banks is something we teach you how to navigate your way through and how to best use land banks. Land banks is a way in certain instances that we also flip land coming from land banks. So we'll start with what is a land bank. Now, typically, a land bank is going to be a set of individuals that formulated a company, whether that's a non for profit or some type of organization, and their job is to revitalize an area or a neighborhood. Typically, land banks, they're typically set up in areas that needs to be revitalized. A lot of times these are not the best areas. You probably won't find a land bank in like Hollywood or something like that. But on the contrary, different land banks do different things, right? So, like in the area that I reside in, it's a well-to-do neighborhood, and they have a land bank, but it's not necessarily built to revitalize the neighborhood. Their land bank is to help first-time home buyers. So you have to know how to navigate through those land banks and what they offer and why they were initiated and why they were put together. So each one is different. There's a lot of land banks throughout the country. Currently, right now, inside of our community, that is what I'm working on. I'm working on a list of different land banks across the country. I've put it inside of my community halfway through the country. We're halfway through. I'm working my way. I want to get all the way through the country so I can give that to my community. And what happens is once I give that to my community, all they have to do, click on a link, go to that land bank, see if it services their area, right? Right now, I'm going in alphabetical order. So I'm in Pennsylvania, meaning that I worked all the way from A all the way down through P. This is what we offer. This is what we give you. We go out and we find these things and we give these things to you. Why did we initially focus on land banks? Because we're land flippers, so we want to be able to get the best prices. And land banks typically offer great, great prices. Typically, you can get some of these properties 10% on the dollar, 15% on the dollar, sometimes 20% on the dollar at certain land banks. But most land banks, they mostly all function the same of them, most of them. Their job is to revitalize the neighborhood, whether that's a dilapidated home or that's vacant land. Some of them have what they call side lot programs, meaning that if you live next to a vacant lot, they'll give you the side lot for a huge discounted price. I've seen it as low as $1, right? So you should know your area. You should know if your area has a land bank and what your land bank offers, right? Well, I just got off, by the way, I have to plug this. I just got off our first, have to clap for that. I just got off our first training call for my Acre Boys farming community. Went excellent. Like if you're missing out on this information and this knowledge, then I don't know, shame on you is all I can say, because we didn't price this program like through the roof or at an astronomical price. And the information that was relayed in there, we went over tonight. Our principal farmer gave the class homework and showed them where to go and get their farm track number from, right? That may sound insignificant to you, but what's a farm track? If you live on a tenth of an acre is 435 square feet, right? It's not that big. But if you live on a tenth of an acre, you're eligible for your farm track number. Why is this important? Why is this important? And I'm talking about land banks. I'm going to tie all of this in together. So now once you have your farm track number, if you decide to grow anything under farming, it becomes tax exempt. If you go to get gas station to come back and water your grass, that's tax exempt off of your gas. All right. And I'm not going to go too deep into that because I'm not the instructor of that class. I'm learning, as I said, at the same time as other people. But the importance of this is people may say, well, I don't have land, right? Even if you don't have land, we're doing an excellent job at giving you all the outlets where you can get activated, where you can participate in it. If you don't own land, we're now giving you land banks that will give it to you for some of the most discounted prices that I have ever seen. Some land banks giving it to you for $100. Others are giving it to you for $500 on up. Just depends on the land bank and what they offer. And yes, with land bank property, once they give it to you, they usually have rules that you have to do something with the property, and they'll give you a time frame to get it done. Some will give you 18 months to complete a rehab or a gut job. Some is allocating a year to get in and get out. Some you must either live in the property or rent the property out to a local one. Some allow you to resell. Some allow you to flip. And guess what? Some land banks that we identified let you just buy it and flip it like we normally do, a regular piece of land. Some of them, you have to smoke out the ones that allow that. I'll give you a hint. It's in Tennessee. How do I know? Because I teach it. Now, land banks, once you know how to play the game with the land banks and how this ties into the farm track, land banks will allow you to use the vacant land for a community garden. And you have to do a community garden, right? Now, if you have a community garden, and if you're really on top of it, you can start to make profit from what's grown on a community garden. There's several ways to create profit. That's why we call it farming for profit. So land banks is that important. Like where you live at now, you should probably do a Google search and see if there's land banks in your area, right? I try to come up with stuff that for everyday people, right, that they can do, make this very practical, very easy. Like, only thing I can't help with, let me tell you what I can't help with. I can't help the people when they're looking for free stuff. That's when I can't help, because nothing's free. Everything is going to cost you something, even if it's not money per se. Nothing is free. Everything costs, whether that's time, whether that's effort. But if you live in America, most of the time, it's money. And nobody's just giving things away. So I try to find things that everyday people can get in for some of the best denominations, right? I could just focus on expensive counties that I know the entry point as far as price is high. But we do the opposite because we know that in our culture, we're last in this space. That's why I focus on that stuff. And this is why I don't necessarily invest in these things now, these days, myself. But guess what? I had a first day as well. So I started at these same places that I'm suggesting other people to start at. And more than likely, if your bank was up, more than likely you have some investment practices. Your circle probably knows about things that you can invest in that someone who didn't have the money circle. So we try to cater to the everyday person that you can get started. And if you have just a little bit of vision, if you take just a little bit of this knowledge, apply it, and if you have a little bit of vision, I promise you can grow something. The same way that we did. Nothing special about the Acre Boys. We was minding our business, working on 9-to-5 jobs. We took a program, right? We just giving you what worked for us. We took a program, got the information, implemented the information, was smart enough to stay disciplined and consistent with the information, and voila, 8 years later, it all worked out. Was it magic? No, it wasn't magic. It was a lot of effort and a lot of work that was put in. To this day, if you know what my days and what my schedule is, it's a lot of effort that goes into being successful. I always say It takes a whole lot of input just for a little bit of output. And then what happens once you hit certain plateaus, it gets a little bit easier and just a little bit. You keep sowing, you'll reap the benefits. My two things, what's the key to success? Discipline and consistency. So these land banks, their job is to revitalize their neighborhoods. Let's just talk about a few that's like Baltimore, right? You may not, I don't know, if you're from Baltimore, check your land bank. They're giving away buildings in Baltimore. I just got off a call with one of my team members who's inside of our community. He said he's from the Cleveland, Ohio area or around that area. I just found things in Cleveland, Ohio. Their land bank list, there's like 1,700 properties, whether that's a structure or vacant lots. Now, the education is why we're big on the education, because I can drop a link right now in the chat. You can go check it out yourself. But if you don't know how to review land, you may not know what you're looking at. Is it a good piece? Is it even worth buying from a land bank? You need to know these things. The land bank don't care. They're not giving you, they're not reviewing it for you and saying this is a good piece. They just want to get whatever's on their books off their books. Same way as the auctions do. So you need to still know what's a good piece of property, a good piece of land. Now, some of them have structures. Many of them have structures because land banks, they focus on both. They focus on vacant land and they focus on structures. Sometimes those structures are commercial buildings. Sometimes those structures are single family residential. In Baltimore, they're like duplexes and triplexes and buildings. In Cleveland, Ohio, they have everything from houses, from commercial properties to vacant land. In Tennessee, they have them. In New York, they have them. They're around. So my point is, what I'm saying is, like, all right, say you don't want to flip land, but you're close to this area. Let's, like, right now, upstate, I'm in New York. I'm like 10 minutes away from the city, right? Upstate New York, an hour and a half away, they have land banks. So if you wanted to invest in those land banks and you were willing to drive an hour and a half away, anybody from New York knows that anything downstate, super expensive. Most people can't compete with the major players here. It's hard to find deals here. That's why, as an entry-level investor here, it's tough because it's very competitive downstate. New York City, Long Island, Westchester. These places are flooded and crowded and competitive. But if you go upstate, if you were willing to drive an hour and a half upstate, go to a land bank, I promise you, most people are not willing to do this stuff, though. But somebody's doing it. You want to drive to Syracuse? You want to drive to Sullivan County? You want to drive to Orange County? Any of those places, hour and a half away, I can point you right now, upstate New York, they're giving away homes, less than $10,000. Are these well-to-do? Right? Are these well-to-do homes? No. They're not just giving you a home that's ready to move in for $10,000. No, they're going to be gut rehabs. Most of them. Some areas, the houses are not gut rehabs. It just depends on your area. But when we start talking about these entry-level prices that you can get in for $5,000 for a house, $5,000, $10,000 for a whole home, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, most of them, they're gut rehab. So you have to have some experience. You have to have a budget in place. But that's the other thing with a land bank. Whenever you apply and you put your application in for it, they're going to ask you, they're going to screen you, and you're going to have to be able to afford what you say you're going to do. They're going to ask first, what are you looking to do with the property? And you're going to have to type that out on that application, what you're looking to do with the property. Remember, most of them don't want you to just say, I'm going to flip it. But there are some that we identified that will just let you buy, even from the land bank, and just let you flip them. All right, you just have to know. And this is what we're giving to our community. We're continuing to work on the list. We're continuing to work on the list inside of my community, Acre Boys, Land and Legacy community. We give this to you. It's at a click of your button, click of your finger, and it takes you straight there. You go see if it's in your area and see if it makes sense and see what it has in it. That's what I like about the land banks, because it just gives us an alternative way of investing. And now that we have Acre Boys Farming, right? Once you put the two, this is like hand in glove at this point. More options, alternative ways to invest. So we're taking all the excuses off the table, right? So we can always have an opportunity to do something. Somebody dropped their land bank in the chat. Yeah, check these things out. Check your areas out and see what's happening in your area with your land banks. These are great opportunities. These are excellent opportunities to get involved at some of the best prices that I've ever seen. And once you incorporate that, go to your local land bank. If you are interested in becoming or doing any farming, right? Go to your local land bank. They'll give you the vacant lots for pennies on the dollar. I said tonight we had our first training call in our farming program, right? And we went over how you get your farm track number. Your farm track number will allow you to be tax exempt. Now, you have your inexpensive land that you got, and this is when you can begin to do whatever your heart's desire. If that's to grow your own food for your personal family, you got in at some of the lowest denominations possible. If that's the farm for profit, you then can begin to plant whatever you like, right? Create your own farmer's market. You ever seen the guys on the side of the road selling watermelons, selling fruits and vegetables? You don't even need a big farmer's market. So our job is done. We gave you more options, more things to have in your repertoire, under your belt, more ways that you can create income for yourself. All right? Text the number 1-877-250-7778 to get involved. If anything that you heard on this live tonight resonated with you, text that number. Somebody from my team will get back to you, and we'll put you in position immediately. Not tomorrow. Well, tonight it will be. Tomorrow is pretty late, but you will get a call back, and we'll put you in position immediately so you'll have the opportunity to make some decisions and get yourself active. Get active, people. Only way to move the needle is when you hear good information is to act on it, right? Get that information and implement it. We've done an excellent job at providing you and servicing you with the best places. In fact, this Thursday, I'm going to take it a step further. This Thursday, I'm going to have a class on tax deeds, and I'm going to show you, right? It's going to be a complimentary training call this Thursday. Watch out for the link, and I'm going to show you about tax deeds, where we're buying tax deeds for $850, right? I'm going to break that whole system down to you, where we're buying tax deeds for $850, and you'll have the opportunity to sell that land back from anywhere from $5,000 and $15,000. How do I know? Because I have 6 properties on the market now. None of them are less than $15,000. Ask me how much I paid. I didn't pay more than $1,500 for each piece. All right. And I have testimonials from individuals in my community that this has already worked. They've already sold their properties. So be on the lookout for that link. This Thursday, I'm going to do a complimentary training, and I'm going to show you and I'm going to expose you to some of these areas that you can find some of these tax deeds out. All right. So I wanted to jump in here and impart those words tonight. I hope it was encouraging. I hope it helped somebody. Check your area. Do a Google search on your area. Look up your local land banks and see what they offer. All right. See what he said, I got $1,500 I need to flip ASAP. I need that. Inbox me if you got $1,500 and you need to flip. Oh, I thought he was saying he got 1,500 acres. He got $1,500. All right. All right. Text 1-877-250-7778 and check your land banks tonight and see what y'all come up with. We'll chat back in tomorrow. We'll have a different topic, and I'm looking to get back on my 30-day run of doing live. So as I said before, I hope it was helpful. Y'all be good. Stay hydrated. It's hot, people. Get up underneath some AC. If you don't have an AC, find some fan, open the door, do whatever you got to do. Let some air in and stay hydrated. Peace, love.